RJ Knight, and I'm from You Author Us. I'm here with,
Absolute Zero, Defender of the Universe.
and we're here doing a music talks today for everyone, and we have a series of questions, and we would really like to break it down for you, and hope that you guys like what we're doing today. So, start it off, Ab.
Yeah, MF Doom, he did a concert in Miami at 3 Points last Saturday, and I heard that MF Doom was performing in Miami on the radio, like a local college radio station. But when I went online to find out where the concert is and if it was happening, I literally couldn't find, any information because Doom doesn't have a website, doesn't have a Twitter, doesn't have any form of fucking like simple interaction that you could find to figure out if he's gonna have a concert. So by the time I found out about the concert, I didn't have the money to go to the concert. So I was gonna ask RJ, does MF Doom's lack of social media and like interviews and fan interactions at this point in his career hurt him more than it's helping him? Because I'm assuming that it helps a certain element of his promotion to be so mysterious, but at this point, is it just costing him money?
Yeah, basically, I believe it's costing them money. This mysterious thing is ridiculous. It's a lot of rappers reach a comfort stage and they get comfortable and then they stop. Just like in the many businesses, and it's comfort is the hindrance of success. And with Doom, really, I personally feel that you know, like he has enough money, and Doom is not really like a super material commercial guy he comes off as, and he's just like, I have enough money for me, and I just do it when I feel like it or when I like it, and that's the kind of vibe I get from him. And I really think that he's not really doing the work that he needs to because he's already reached the pinnacle of the area that he's in, the lane that he's in, the sector of music that he's in. So that's just my initial response, my initial answer. You could give me some feedback before I go on.
Yeah, man, I feel like not being on social media, it's like on the one hand I could understand, you want your privacy, you want your home life and things of that nature. But Doom, if he was on Sway or if he was on like any of these programs, like if he went to Hot 97 when his album was out, so many people who aren't currently aware of his existence would at least get that first exposure and give them like more of a chance to like that music. And who knows how many more people that could bring into the alt hip hop scene as a whole, because he's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know, like,
Well,
what you think about that.
the thing is, like, Doom would have been the spearhead and could have been the spearhead of the alternative hip hop genre a long time ago. And I don't say it's not even a genre, man. It's just hip hop, but it's rap, but it's alternative rap. And because it's an alternate to the mainstream. So the difference between that and underground is really just people that are trying to get to the mainstream. An alternative is a total sidestep. They're not trying to get to the mainstream. They're a substitute. Like if I don't want to listen to this garbage that I feel is garbage in the mainstream, I could literally go to this. These guys are not starving. They're eating well. They're showing you an alternative way to not short step your artistic creativity or whatever reasons you have that you don't like in the industry. And I think Doom could have pushed this a lot further, faster, but he just showed us that he's not that guy. So I'm not really upset with him. But if it's the similar thing I wrote about with the game, and I talked about the game. I said that the game would be bigger. I think the game would be 50 level, but he just didn't put in the work. Right, game got very comfortable, and if you look at the numbers that he was doing at that time, he was almost going platinum. And he wasn't doing a lot on these mixtapes and stuff. And it's like if Eddie promoted it and did the things that 50 did the times. I went around hanging out with other celebrities, doing the socialization to the level playing the game that he should have, doing the marketing and sales work that he should have. the game's albums could have sold 5 times to 6 times more. And I really think in his work it showed, right? And I think there's a similar overlap going on with Doom. I think Doom is very comfortable. I think Doom focuses more on art versus the business. And Doom's like, when I'm rapping. I want to separate those worlds. And I think Doom's like, my brand is good enough that I don't have to do this. Kind of like, you know. And Doom is so good, but I don't think Doom is breaking ground. I think he's just consistently super good.
Yeah.
But he's not pushing. It's a parallel between him and the game, and a lot of people that are really good and just get consistent and not like, you know, setting like the high bars that they did original. You know, they just kind of settle in. You know what I mean? Like a worker that becomes good at their job. So I feel like Doom could make a lot more money, but you have to ask yourself, like, each person has their own values. And each person has their own level of what they want. Like this, I can't judge Doom based off my values fully. It's Doom says my goal is to maximize profit. Then I could now, you know, judge Doom on his stated goal, but I don't know what his stated goal is. See my point? That's where it's a little tricky. So, you know, but I think that if Doom was in the pursuit of absolute profit, or Doom was trying to be the best artist he could be, or was trying to promote the culture, or whatever generic things people say, it would be a wise move for him to market himself a little bit better. And also, it's just like if you're trying to give performances for your fans and people, marketing is for awareness. And we would like to know clearly when do we have to go to events or what events there is. Not even just new people, you know, for your fans to better know what is going on. And a lot of, like, the thing I hate about underground and alternative hip hop is a lot of the events and things could be done a lot more clearly, you know, and more distinctly, but they're not. There's like a mess sometimes. So that's what I think, you know, could be improved upon. It's not just Doom, though. It's the entire alt/underground scene, and they just don't really put the effort into sometimes doing the best job they can do to, you know, to make it, like, really clear, make it concise, make it really efficient. So I feel, pass it back to you.
So he performed with Ghostface, and it turns out that the performance was a hologram or some type of screen. Like he wasn't there in person. And there was an incident a few years back. This actually happened to one of my friends where he was hiring an impersonator. Like it wasn't actually him at his concerts. So like people bought the tickets thinking that they were gonna see Doom, and there was like a Doom impersonator. And what do you think about like that with the hologram? Like, do you think that he's like that's, you know, because it seems kind of immoral to like have people expecting, you know, expecting, you know, to see Doom, and then you're not giving it to them. It's kind of like when the old Wu-Tang Clan would do concerts, and it'd be like You God and Inspector Deck would be like the only ones to show up, and it's like that's not really like a Wu-Tang concert type of thing. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts and feelings on that, and like, you know, is that type of thing seems a bit unsustainable and bad. I don't know, but
well, it's not that it's unsustainable. It's like, again, it comes back to values. I mean, you have to look at his values. We don't know what his values then was. He's not really like a super. He's a very private guy, it seems like, so he doesn't really state that, and we don't know his values. So if we're looking at values, it's too hard to know. But if we're looking at the ethos of a musician or the ethos of a professional, it violates that, and it also violates hip hop code. So a lot of times when we look at alt hip hop and underground hip hop, people more follow the hip hop code, and what he did was he violated it by giving you something inauthentic, and that's the difference is between somebody that's an MC and a real, you know, a microphone controller, man. You know, you rock the mic, you rock the stage, you're there. That's you. That's your stuff. And we've been having this problem in the hip hop rap genre, right? Because people rapping is rapping. You know what I mean? Hip hop rap is kind of different. People have been rapping for a long time. Okay, so the thing is, and doing poetry, so you know it's a little poet. But the thing is with that is that people came and they paid for Doom, and when he did that, he didn't let the fans know. He didn't inform them, and it wasn't clear, and he misled them purposefully and wanted their maximal dollars, and that's where he's wrong. And it's kind of like finding out. It's similar to ghostwriting, man. When people think someone's an MC, like I don't really rate what's his name, Easy E that high, and so I'm happy that the movie came out, so now I could talk about Easy E more easily, once again. But I don't rate Easy E that high. But I don't disrespect Easy E because Easy E told you in his rhymes and was open, like I don't write these rhymes.
Yeah.
I respect Dr. Dre. People were like, "Oh, Dr. Dre is whack because he was writing rhymes." I remember growing up, people sometimes said that stuff. I'm like, "Nah, I respect it. He sells you." I would have a problem if I found out that Rakim didn't write stuff. I'd have a problem if I found out Immortal Technique wasn't writing stuff.
Yeah.
I'd have a problem if I found out that Scarface didn't write. Really? Like I'd be like, damn, Scarface, like that's not cool. If I had a problem, if I found out that Biggie or Pac didn't write that, I'd have a problem with it. So it would change my perspective of how I view Big L, and these dope dudes. If because I framed it based on my interpretation of the fact of how they presented it to me, how I felt they were delivering it to me. It's the same reason why I feel people got mad about Game freestyling the same verse over and over again. I didn't have a problem with it because I was like, oh, okay. But he did put in work to make it seem like he didn't say to people like, yo, I'm dropping this verse once again. He didn't say something like that. He was like, check this new verse.
No, the worst one where he was like, yeah, man, I'll freestyle battle you, dude.
He technically did freestyle though.
And he's like, he was like bigging it up. He's like, yeah, this is one right off the dome.
He said that.
He said something to that effect where he challenged someone and then did the verse. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But
well, here's my thing. Just a little sidetrack. The fight game. He could have been high, and that literally came off the dome. Because he said it so many times. But let's get back to that.
Yeah.
But my thing is that it's like that, and everybody goes into the whole, Drake thing with the Ghost Riders or whatever, and it takes him off the top, off the Legends list. If he keeps doing moves like this, it will affect his legacy because it's already finding out about that. It's affected how I view Doom, and I really view Doom a bit better than that, and that's not cool. And it would have been okay if he literally said, "Hey guys, I can't make it, or I'm feeling sick, or whatever, so I'm getting a guy." It's not about really me. It's about my music, the content, and the mask. He could have pulled that off because Doom is a rapper that could do that. Hence why he had the impersonator. But he should have told people, and that's just not. It's gonna be hard for me to co-sign that. And to the virtual reality question, I don't have a problem with virtual reality as long as people know what it is. I would really be upset if I went there and it was like, I paid to see this guy live and it's virtual reality. It's like, it would piss me off. Like if I went to see a movie, bro, just really quick, and I thought it was live action and it came out to be like 3D, I would be like really upset, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah, so it seems like he had a mixed reaction. Like, some people liked it, some people were mad, so...
super fans probably really liked it, but other people are like...
Yeah, so, Ghostface and Doom, speaking of which, they've been teasing a project for literally almost a decade now that they're gonna do together. Something like 7 years or something ridiculous. And they came out with a track together earlier this month. And I guess I wanted to ask you, because questioned earlier this year, he said that it's in the works. How much should people be anticipating this? Should we just be like, at this point, it's not coming out? Or, Doom's lying? Or should we... be on the edge of our seats because we never know with a cat like Doom.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that you just said. His integrity is now in question. So, after everything we just said, it's like, I don't know if I could really trust what Doom's saying to me. Like, Doom can literally take my money in a pre-order and he never comes. He gives me one track and he's like, yeah, that's that album. So, and then, just next thing there's Meow songs on it. So, I don't know, and the thing is, it's like with Ghostface, it makes sense because he has a lot of buzz right now, especially after X and Bronson kind of revived Ghostface, So there's that market awareness off that beef. I'm not a really like pro beef guy, but he does have market awareness from those transactions, those exchanges with that, and Doom is not going to put in the marketing work, so it's really just going to be Ghostface put leg in it. And before it wasn't really as feasible because there was no really like marketing awareness really behind them. It was like underground people pretty much at that point, an alternative rap, and that's not a big market sector enough, like to really like it's enough to get you bread, if you're topped out, but it's not like to do numbers to turn industry heads like whoa. So, and I think like this is the best time if they were gonna do it, and it shouldn't be super hard for them to do it. So I think it can be, but I don't think you should wait or hold your breath or anything like that because Ghost is kind of like his own dude. Like, yeah, dude, Ghost is like, yo, man, Ghost is like, I mean, like Ghost was never known as like a disciplined dude like that to me. Ghost was kind of wild, like he was unpredictable. So, and then you just have Ghostface, which is like, you have like Doom, which is just, he's Doom, man. We just talked about that. So, it's. I think it could happen. I think if it was gonna ever happen, this would be the best time. If it doesn't happen, then we just know. But I don't think it's something you should wait on. I think it's something you should like. All right, it's possible. I'm kind of half in. Save your money, put some away just in case for it. But I only keep my money in case for a year and a half. I'd roll that over and put it on my bed or put in the bank. For a year and a half. Budget that away for that, mark that down. So I give it a time limit. Don't put it in there forever. But I really think that with Ghostface and these guys, their lack of marketing really hurts them. And I just think because Ghostface hasn't been doing exchanges, he hasn't really been doing anything. Like, you don't see Ghostface in the limelight. You don't see Ghostface doing anything. And there's a better way to market yourself, and I don't think Ghostface does that. And I think Doom doesn't try at all. So it's going to be really, really tough.
I do think that Ghost has been doing some interesting things musically, especially on the collaborations front. Like he did the project.
That's collaborations though. Dope Adrian, he's always dope with collabs.
Young.
But he's not really good on his own projects. He's kind of like, to me, like half-assed.
Yeah, but he's been doing like collaborative albums, like where like.
Okay, not features. Okay.
Yeah, it's not features. Like he did a album called 12 Reasons to Die with Adrian Young. Adrian Young, who did the soundtrack for what's it, Black Dynamite? Is that what it's called? Yeah. He also did a project with Souls of Mischief, and he also has a band. He was sampled for Jay-Z's Magna Carta Holy Grail. So, he did a whole project with him. He did a whole project with the jazz outfit Bad Bad Not Good.
Yeah, but my problem is with this is that this could be marketed better.
Yeah.
During this entire time, I wasn't been in music like that. I've not been following it or whatever. I'm super busy, writing books, doing the whole nine, right? So, but I'm still tuned in enough. People come to me with stuff, and there's no buzz talking about this at all. So, and I think that if Ghost marketed properly, it would happen. I'm not saying you have to go on the radio and do all this crazy, but there's stuff you can do, man. Especially with the internet, it's a tool. It doesn't fundamentally change anything. It just makes it easier. There's tools for it. There's way better tools. So that's just really it. And I think that not the dude that says Ghostface doesn't do work. I just don't feel Ghostface markets well. I think that's been one of the problems of the Wu-Tang Clan members. I think the Wu-Tang as a group worked because there were some more serious members that would do all the back work, like Riz and all those guys, and there was other members that didn't. They were just kind of there. They were more musical or unpredictable or whatever. So this is why this is also why the group wasn't sustainable, because I felt like some people were feeling eventually over years felt like they were being overworked, and just it wasn't being appreciated. It's like, what, I'm better off doing this shit myself,
Yeah.
Because you're not really putting in the work you need to be put in, even though you're dope. So I feel that's what's going on, and I see numerous groups and people break up for that. So I feel that's what it is, and like Ghost on his own, I just don't feel he's disciplined. I feel Ghost is like really unpredictable. So I don't know. I look at Ghost as a dope artist, but Ghost hasn't proven to me that he's has a business intellect equal to his artistry skills. And everything is business. Everything is business. A lot is business, and business is not necessarily cash. Like people think, oh, you have to run a business getting cash. No, anytime you're exchanging things, you're doing some kind of business, arguably, right? You're doing it to get something back. So, and I don't think a lot of people are very economic about these things, and that's the problem. So,
Okay, so you mentioned this, alluded to this actually a little bit earlier, but Meow The Jewels is out. For all of you who don't know, hardcore rap duo Run the Jewels released a remix album of their Run the Jewels 2 album with cat sounds.
hey man, we might need to do a KYFR with dog sounds.
It
Bark, bark your favorite rapper, bite your favorite rapper. Yeah,
yeah, maybe.
Bite your favorite rapper.
So basically, a Kickstarter was funded to get this to
Kickstarter,
happen.
bite your favorite rapper. Check it out.
And they raised $60,000, and now there's a remix album with producers such as Just Blaze, The Alchemist, Dan the Automator, and LP.
Just Blaze is dope.
With making cat sound instrumentals.
I
beats.
freestyle on it. Pretty dope. I'm joking. Yeah, clearly, as you can see, I'm joking the entire time because I take the entire concept as a joke. It started off from what you told me. We talked about this as somebody messing around, and it became serious. I like that they're doing it for charity or whatever and messing around, and it also opens up lanes for other people possibly or whatever. But I think this entire concept was never taken really seriously in the beginning, so it is a joke. But it's a concept album at this point, It's a good concept. It's fun. It's in fun spirits, but it's not a serious musical thing, I don't mind if they made an album with cat noises. It just was that their intent from the start. That wasn't clearly. It just was a side effect of some kind of meme or joke or something event that happened.
Okay, so Drake made it to 100 songs on the top 100. And excluding the Glee cast doing covers, if we look at the top 100, or people with the most hits on the top 100, we have Lil Wayne at 127, Elvis Presley at 108, Drake at 100, James Brown at 91, Jay-Z at 83, Ray Charles at 75, Chris Brown at 73, Aretha Franklin at 73, and the Beatles at 71. So when you look at this list of names, do you think that Drake is gonna hold the same level of esteem as someone like a Ray Charles or an Aretha Franklin or like even a Elvis? Will we remember him in the same way that we remember these artists? Will Drake, Lil Wayne, and Chris Brown be at that level in people's mind and even on a respect level too?
This is one I'm going to bounce back to you back and forth because we did talk about this. I'm a little tired, so I don't remember what I said, but it was very poignant right at the time. And I don't think people are going to take Drake or any of these guys as legends. They're going to remember them for different reasons other than being legends. So I don't think they're going to put them in the same lane as Ray Charles or Aretha Franklin. That's just my initial response to you, so I'm bouncing it back to see what you think.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to consider Drake in that same level of artistry, but I don't know if it's just me being a hater or something, you know what I mean? I wanted to make sure that it's not just my bias, but I feel like Drake was game changing and his influence has permeated throughout like popular music, but I feel like there's an element of just like staying power and quality that an artist like Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin have that has just been so great that it's hard to even compare, you know, modern acts to that level of quality and consistency, but maybe I'm just having like the a bias.
I don't think it's a. You do sometimes suffer when we talk from biases against people for like some reasons. I feel sometimes they're a little silly, but not in this case. I think it's a subconscious reaction to the fact that it's the quality and it's the context, and a lot of times when we're saying things, we're not really clear about why, but it's a subconscious reason, that we're in the ballpark. And it's not just Drake, it's Jay-Z, it's Chris Brown and all these guys. And like I said, they're not going to be remembered for the reasons of pure artistry like these other people. They're going to be remembered for other reasons. So we have to really break it down into different to just deconstruct it to kind of get to it. So we're looking at James Brown and Aretha Franklin. It wasn't based off their looks or how cool they were or other dynamics going on. And you might say, wait a second, well, Jay-Z's not the most handsome man. Jay-Z's not going to be remembered for being a music legend. He's going to be remembered for being a business legend. That's just what it is. Jay's not already remembered like that. It's more about what he does in business, from him making his name. Lil Wayne is not going to be remembered for music like that indirectly as being a great artist. He's going to be remembered for being a child prodigy. I mean, Lil Wayne has been in this game for like 20 years. Okay, Lil Wayne's like, I don't know, from when he's like 10 or to 11 or 12 or something, he's been around. So, Lil Wayne's been there for a long time. And, Lil Wayne's not the greatest artist. It's not the quality. It's the fact that he's been able to sustain himself so long. And like you said, when we talked about it, I brought that up, it was really the endurance of these guys that's impressive. So, when you look at that, when you look at Drake, it's not quality. Once again, it's the popularity. It's the fact that he can make hits. Not that he's making soulful or artistic music. He's making whatever hits he can to make hits, to make money. Drake approaches the game as a shrewd businessman as well, but he's more of an artist, a smoother operator as an artist. Kind of like if you merge Kanye and Jay-Z, you'd get Drake. In the business sphere of music, and I honestly think that Drake's going to be more remembered in the long run for different reasons that are to do with his heritages. Drake is half Jewish. He's half white and half black racially. He's biracial. He's also of 3 different heritages, arguably, right? So technically, I'd say technically, because I don't really consider this much of a heritage. No offense, but Drake is of Jewish heritage, and then Drake's dad's side, he's of Jamaican ancestry, right? So he's of Jamaican heritage. Now, some people might say randomly, I don't know, people jump in and say dumb things, but he's also American, right? And it's like, okay, yes, I get the Canadians are on the continent of America, so they're American and stuff like that. And he grew up there, so he's cultured, but he doesn't have a heritage. You see my point? His children would have that heritage, right? Being North American, right? But they're not, like, that's not his heritage, So, but the Jewish communities really rep people that are Jewish. I mean, hard. Anyone that's good or great that's Jewish, they rep them as the best. Albert Einstein was not the greatest scientist, okay? Let's get this twisted, okay? But he's said to be the greatest scientist. Almost in every field, every Jewish guy is said to be the best, okay? And that makes sense. Jews like their own guys, right? I have no problem with people liking their own, right? I think that's okay. If people should have sense enough to go like, there's a bias there, and study the alternatives to know what they're talking about. You shouldn't just defaultly, take something like that. So I think that's something there. So he's going to be taken. And unlike Eminem, there was a problem with M, because M, who was just dope, wasn't fully accepted because M was white. So there was that limiter, and him and other people. Drake has the white audience with him too because he's biracial more, but he has the certification from the black audiences because he's black. And then, Jamaicans also, like Jews, really go hard for their own. They support, I don't know if they say they're the greatest ever, but, they support their people, like, fanatically. And so, these things are going to help Drake be remembered. But as you can see, it's like a collage. This is the enigma of Drake. But it's not going to be really for his music. It's going to be that he was a hit maker of his time. People go off your time, not timeless. He's not going to be timeless. He's going to be in his time. And he's going to be remembered for being great by people liking him. People are going to be like, he's great, like Elvis was great. But Elvis wasn't the best. Elvis was just some guy that was copying people. If you look at Drake's music, he just copies people all the time. He does like some things musically that are entertaining. He's great, one of the best entertainers.
Yeah.
But you could argue he's an entertainment legend in that perspective, but not as an MC. He's not an MC, okay? He is not a artist, He's an entertainer. He's a performer, but he's not an artist. I don't really put Drake as an elite artist, right? So he's a pop artist to me. And, it's not saying that he doesn't have the ability to do it, but one makes you more money than another. And Jay-Z is of a similar ilk. So this is a kind of a really complicated question. And it's like, that's the reason why I'm saying this. Is like, and you go, well, people might ask, and we talked about Chris Brown. It's like, Chris Brown is going to be remembered because he's the guy that was like, all could have been Michael Jackson. Like he could have been the next Michael Jackson or eclipsed Michael Jackson. And it's just like, wow, Chris Brown, like, wow, like, why did you do that? And we're gonna remember Chris Brown for the talent that he had and what he wasted. And you could understand when people are in bad situations and they're being forced and they have really bad decisions, and there's forces acting to push them in a direction. Chris Brown didn't have any forces. He just literally chose these things, right? He just chose to do insane, crazy things all the time. Right now, stalking Karuche and all this gooning and booling. It's kind of silly. So he's harmed his brand so much. When we went through that stage, people were going to forgive him, and he's gotten multiple chances, but he's harmed his brand, and his harming his brand is proportionate to the tattoos on him as well. And these are not my biases. These are, if you look at pop culture, they like a certain type of image, Yeah. They like it a certain type of way. And so it's just like, I think he's not going to be remembered for that. And, the other people on that list are more remembered for being artists. They're remembered for being great hit makers, and they're considered timeless, but they're also just great, phenomenal music artists. And these guys, unfortunately, are not. And you could argue that Chris Brown is a great artist, but he's not going to be remembered for his art. Once again, he's going to be remembered in connection with Michael Jackson and being like a failed Michael Jackson. That's what sorry.
Okay, so
let me say that. I'll go. So right now, yeah. So thanks a lot about the Chris Brown, and we're gonna go and get into that right now. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So man, that with the Chris Brown thing, it's pretty interesting. But that's what I think. One of the things that I was thinking about was, is trap music really good? Some questions came up, and I've never liked trap music. This. I'm just not a big fan of it. I don't mind it. And I was online and I saw it. It was questions being raised. I was on Vlad TV. I saw, they talked about it. It was just a day where it came up a lot, and it prompted me to ask you that question, when we're talking about it. So we thought we'd take that conversation to you guys today. And, it was just like, is trap music good? Is this a viable conversation to be having? Let's go. Let me hear from you.
Well, I've never really been the biggest trap music fan, but I will say that when trap kind of took a turn with like Waka and Migos towards not being as serious, and even 2 Chainz pretty much does this, where it became like so over the top and like lavish that it became like a joke on itself, you know what I mean? I think that was kind of like a positive development in trap, because it just became kind of funny.
We disagree, but continue.
I think that like when you saw like Chief Keef and like the drill music scene, and they're like super serious, and they're like they have all these guns, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna like murder this dude on this street at this time with my guns, and I'm just like, I don't know, like it's at a certain point, like a lot of the trap music was just getting so ignorant that it was just like, I don't know, it was like it was hurting my brain a little bit. But I feel like an artist like 2 Chainz, he's like actually kind of like applying some intelligence to make it a joke, and you could tell like that he's making jokes. So I don't know, it ends up being more fun for me personally. But so RJ is shaking his head, so I'm assuming that he doesn't agree.
Yeah, I don't agree with any of your points about trap or at all. And first of all, trap is not new. Trap is really old, man. It's like goes back. Trap is before all of us, man. Like sitting, So it's like trap is before us. Trap is like early, and the other thing is, um, that trap music literally I foreshadowed. A lot of things we talk about. I used to talk about. I just didn't really put them into any articles or videos. I used to talk to people about them that wrote articles and stuff. I didn't really have time. A lot of bad things were going on. So I just whatever. You could tell I live in that life, the struggle life. But trap music again. It. I just felt like people said to me, "Hey man, we're doing these talks and stuff, and we have a lot of stuff to promote, and it would be really good if you could help us out." So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm going to start talking about these things with you guys. And I think trap really, really started to take a comical turn, and this is really a history of rap. So if you go back to Tupac and you go back to Scarface and you go back to all these dudes, they were talking about trap music, but they were literally talking to you like reporters or giving you like a story, a feel of what that life is like. Because if you look at history, that stuff had already passed by. Like they were kind of in it, but a lot of rappers like later in the 90s, that already passed by. That way passed by. All the crack selling and all this kind of stuff. That wasn't happening like that, man. Like, so I'm not saying it didn't happen, but not like that. All the stuff they were talking about other people's stories. So it was ridiculous. It's like, and that's part of the reason why I didn't like trap, because like a lot of the stuff that I hear like when I listen to rap is just ridiculous. Like, so like, and one of the things I felt about rap is like a lot of the times I heard it, a lot of dudes didn't understand the street game or principles of it, and it was just like violating, and it made no sense. So, people were like, "Oh, is this guy real?" And anytime people start saying that, I'm like, most of the time they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it's a fundamental problem with rap, where you have a lot of people that are not really wise to things. So they take things literally or out of context, because they're like, I don't even know how you could, but I guess people not living the struggle life or living in the streets, you know what I mean? Or just have enough sense to recognize that they don't need to be next to the fire or getting burnt, I don't know. But like I said, it's like that, and so I respect that type of trap. When people are talking about it, it makes sense. I could hear it, like, Then I could even respect the Jeezy rap to a point. I don't like you glorifying trap music, because even those other songs didn't really glorify it. It was kind of neutral to like slightly positive, but more negative, right? You could get negative from it. I didn't like the glorification of it, and then by that time, Jeezy and Rick Ross came on the scene. It was like way past now. We're talking about like 40, 30 years ago of like, like just selling crack.
Well,
and they're like
Rick
literally
Ross
going into like movie stuff that make no sense. Like, I'm like driving up all this coke in these cars from the Keys, and then they're doing it on the phone. And I'm like, dude, like, how are you not getting caught by the cops? Like, none of this made any sense. And like, it's just so fantastical and ridiculous. And it was like it's just stupid. And I literally had a problem with it too, because I knew kids that were actually, dude, I'm gonna keep it real, I told you about this before. There were some kids like that, literally like 11 of them or something like that, 9 to 11 of them got together, and they like got jobs to buy coke, to sell coke, to become ballers like Rick Ross. And I was like, and I literally said, I'm like, you guys can come up with money. You guys could just pool your money, buy a house or do any kind of investment. You could also all get jobs. Why are you going to buy coke? Because. So but it was cool. Like, they wanted to be cool, and a lot of the kids that emulate stuff that people talk about, and I think people should be free to emulate whatever they want to, because that's only the idiots do that. But like the and we should know as a public who's an idiot. Let them reveal themselves. Yeah. But the thing is that the people that are the farthest removed from that are the ones that do stupid stuff like that. I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah, man, but like, I feel like a Rick Ross album is like watching a Scarface movie, except movie. Like, you know, the part where he gets all the success and he gets the mansion and the girl and all the cocaine. Yeah, like, just end the movie there.
Yeah, well,
like, you don't have, it's like you get all the benefits, but you don't have to do any of
the
the
problem
bad stuff.
is that trap is literally means you're trapped. It's a struggle. It's a negative connotation. They're making trap out to not be trap. It's just like normal rap. So it's like the people that were talking about trap don't understand trap fundamentally because they were never trap stars in the first place. Like, at all. And then the money that they're talking about in trap, no real trap person makes all that money. They don't make this money, like, at all. Like, you find me the trap guy that makes that money, because that's not a trap guy, that's a boss. That is literally a boss of a criminal organization where they have different lanes of income that they're making. That, you know, he's running a big network. Like, this is ridiculous. Okay, they don't make this much money. Like, literally, you make more money than the average guy in crime when you work at Burger King every year, okay? That's why they rob your house. Come on, it's ridiculous. I mean, like, none of these people understand any of this. Like, and it's like, I understand they're selling it to other people. When you look at the average rap dude, everybody wants to be like a gangster or all this kind of stuff. Especially, like, for a long time in rap, there wasn't these lanes where you could just be a normal dude. And so everybody had to do all this stupid stuff to kind of get on and stuff like that. And it literally perpetuated an image that they didn't understand or weren't about. Look, if you even look at the numbers, man, or you've just been on the block, like, the majority of people aren't doing that, you know? People act like it, and everybody's an actor. So rapping came in and literally put actors in front. And then you had more people acting like what they saw on TV, which then more actors came in. It's just like levels. It's like the Matrix, where you're like, I'm in the Matrix, and then it's like, there's the other level of the Matrix where I'm in Zion, and then there's like another level to the Matrix. Like, you know what I mean? There's like, the Matrix is like 4 levels deep. That's what it's like now. So I look at that with trap. It's like, it's so far removed, like a broken like message, you know, like it's just varied out into something that is so silly that anybody that's really knows it understands. And the majority of people selling drugs now that I see selling drugs are not selling drugs because they need to sell drugs. They're selling drugs because they put themselves in the position to sell drugs, and they're selling drugs to get credit or street cred, or they're selling drugs to be cool. You see my point? Like, a lot of girls sell drugs, and I'm like, wait a second, you don't need to sell drugs. You get government grants, you get welfare checks, you know what I mean? You get government aid of some sort or something. You get dudes paying you money. Why are you selling drugs? Well, I'm selling drugs because that's what a real, you know, boss bitch does, or this and this and that, or they sell them to be cool, you know? They put it on Facebook. What part of the game is snitching on yourself? Like, what part of the game is this? And look, people talk about snitching, and I'm going to keep it real. Snitching is not talking about the next dude like that you have no affiliation with, because snitches is who you exchange with on the block when we're all selling on the corner. And like, if I snitch on the other guy on the corner, it could come back and affect me, you know, because he knows about me. Other people know about me. But if I know, if something happens, if I'm in New York and something's happening in LA and I'm like, yeah, you know, this and this and that, that's not snitching. I don't know them dudes, like, at all. That's not snitching. If I see a guy rape a kid and I see him and he's from LA and he comes in my town, I'm like, yeah, that guy's a rapist. That's not snitching. Now, you don't know people, they're not in your circle, you know what I mean? That's not snitching. Now, the problem is that when you have these guys putting on Facebook, they're in their own circle because you're yourself. You have friends that are probably buying drugs from you, or your distributor that's selling to you, or producer, or whatever you're doing, and you're snitching on them. Because when the police comes and arrests you, you might start singing and telling on everybody. What part of the game is this? So I can't respect that, because you have this whole culture that came from it. So I think trap is just like something that now it's reached the point that people feel that they must do trap to be a real nigga. You know, it's quote unquote. And it's not. And I don't have a problem with it in the fact that it diminishes the idiots from the population, which is good. But you know, the problem I have with it is in music. Is this a good genre now? No, it's not. It's a perversion. It's literally something disgusting that I can't listen to because it's not giving me any authentic information. There's nothing about this that I'm learning or I'm getting any artistic things from. It's just people hamming together things to put together and calling it trap. There's nothing that I gain from it. If I want to listen to real trap, I got to go back in the day to listen to real dudes. I got to go listen to like Snoop Dogg, you know what I mean? Talking about the game, you know? He's talking about trap life. You know, gang banging and trap life. You know, there's two together. But trap life is just a form of gangster rap, just talking about the drug selling part, not the gang banging, but the drug selling part. You know what I mean? Of being stuck in that life. And I feel like it's a perversion on a music level now, and it's bad. It's just really bad. And you know, like we need to go back. So I know a lot of people, I brought up all that stuff because people have these intellectual arguments about it, and they talk about, man, how it's affecting the kids. And I'm like, no, kids, look, people are people. They make choices. Kids are not just somehow like a blank forever, and then suddenly they turn 18 and they're like, you know, Confucius or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, no, like they're people. They were people for a long ass time, okay? So, like, they develop. Everybody grows. People regress. So let the dumb ones reveal themselves. But as a music genre, man, like, I think it should be out there. People should be able to buy it. But let's get it be clear. That's not the real trap music. And I feel if we're talking objectively, it's just good by the definition of what trap is. No, it's not. This is some other shit. You know what I mean? It's a really, like, big question because there's so many things we put into it as a culture now. You know, because it's gone on so long. It's just become like, you know, this big fucking mess. You know what I mean? With trap, it's just a big mess, man. T.I.'s shit is so whack when he talks about trap. And I like T.I., you know, but when he starts talking about trap, it takes me the fuck out. Like, it takes me out, man.
But that's why I think that it's good that it became a fucking joke, because it got so separated that the only place it could go was being a joke. So now it's just like fucking 2 Chainz is considered trap, and he's like doing... And he's like, all I want for my birthday is a big booty hoe. And he's like talking about...
How's that trap? But whatever,
but you
man.
know what I mean? Like that, it's become so separated that it's just become a joke. It's like...
It's gone full circle.
Like
it's just normal rapping now.
Yeah.
But they're just normally rapping like, I make trap music, yo, I got my fat chain, I got my fat whip, I got some good brain from a chick, a roll grain. And it's like, wait a second... What the fuck did that have to do with trap? Like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm just like, I can't even listen to it. And then all the songs sound the same. I'm not even dissing Young Jeezy because he's all right. But I can't listen to like an entire album of Young Jeezy talking the same thing.
Yeah,
Snowman, come be your birthday. And it's like the next song, Snowman. It's like, come on, dog. I just heard the song like last time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Gosh.
I think at a certain point it bled into... It's kind of like metal, how metal evolved from rock, where it's like it became its own... It evolved into its own sound. Like trap evolved into more than just
How did it evolve?
Well, like the kicks, like the 808s and the syncopated hi-hats, and like they just became like markers of traps. Like
so you mean it developed?
Trap developed into a sound more than the content.
It became a distinct subgenre.
Yeah, it became
I can accept that.
And so then when it became a subgenre and you had like trap norms and conventions, and then it was just like, well, I have a beat like this.
Now it's broken.
Selling coke.
But it's broken. It's broken now because it doesn't deal with trap music. Trap is supposed to be by the word trap. Yes. You are trapped. So it's just
been divorced from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's no longer trap. If you're divorced from a chick, you ain't married no more. Like, come on, like this is it's gone, man. So it's trap. Trap, I think it's bad now. You know, I think it's dead almost, pretty much. Like, if you're ever gonna say something's dead, I think because people don't even know what trap is anymore. That's the problem. That's when ideas die. You know, when they become so synergized with other things that they just Roman gods are dead because literally nobody knows understands how to practice or what they are. It's just like 5 people and like in like you know like some Ivy League school or something at any given one. You know, it's like it's once you start to understand like forget a culture, you start to lose the ideas. You know, the identity of how things go into norms. It's gone. So, and just a separate topic because it was so big, and we probably might visit it again. Is just like, is a something? Is like, is drill music trap music, man? And because personally, I feel that drill music, this idea, this name, is people trying to salvage the essence more of trap, like I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't think drill music is a separate genre. I think it's just trap. It's literally just the same thing as trap, and it's just like more apt trap. It's taken trap back to the midpoint when it was still bad, but not like, you know, like as bad, like Jeezy type trap, you know, and T.I. type trap music, but not like Rick Ross type trap music, which is clearly like just like, oh my god, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like watching a Harry Potter film, and I don't watch Harry Potter. It's like some out of there stuff. Like, what is this? That's what it's like, you know. I'm a writer, man. I like all kind of fantasy stuff. Don't get me wrong, you know. But it's like, I literally watch it, and it's like, when I watch it, it's like, look at me, I'm a wizard of trap. Like, ooh, cocaine in my backyard, yay! It's out there for helicopters, yay! It's like a Disney, like, you know, kind of thing to me. So I feel drill music is trap music. What do you think? You know, you might disagree with me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it is trap music, but it's like, but I do think that there is a more real element to it. Like, I feel like these, like when I hear people talking about drill music, I feel like almost it's really their sentiments. I just don't think the sentiments are the smartest sentiments.
But what is the difference between drill and trap? If we go back on the history of trap,
no,
that's like to people that don't know history of trap. That's my point about forgetting it. They're like, oh, drill music is the real stuff, but it's like, if you go back, because we didn't have a clear and distinct market for trap, like the name trap, like trap term was around for a while now. That's what I mean. It was around. They were using the term, but it wasn't its own marketed genre.
Yeah.
It was just blended into a lot of stuff, and we had trap songs, but we didn't clearly distinct it. So it's like if you look at sports,
gangster rap. So it's like,
and gangster rap like was around for a while, and then it became its own genre, right? You know what I mean? It was around.
Yeah.
It was in the scene. You had gangster songs, and then it just became its own genre. And then out of gangster rap and gangbanging songs, you came out with it separated into 2 different types of songs. You know, gangbanging type songs like I'm gonna fuck you up, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm selling this dope. You know what I mean, and doing whatever. I'm trapped in the game. I'm trapped in this life. You know, this negative life. So that became about that. And a lot of times it came around with the drugs and the struggle and trying to get out and all of that. However you want to spin it, you want to do. Jay-Z does trap music. He talks about hustle all the time, but he does a lighter style trap music. The thing that I'm saying, and I don't have a problem with you distincting the sound, you know, the genre more, you know, to make it more marketable and sellable, or terming it better so we can find that type of music if you want to hear it. My thing is that I don't think drill music is a separate type of music. I just think people forgot the name. It got so perverse, and people grew up forgetting what actual trap was, and then they were like, oh, this is the real trap, you know, this is real drug selling music. We'll call it drill music.
Yeah.
And so my point is agreeing force by the name that trap is pretty much dead because people have forgotten what the term even means anymore. They forgot what, you know, the roots of it. They don't even know.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, so, you know, like that's how I felt about it. And, you know, it's like, you know, like one thing too you were saying that it bounced off me is with Fetty Wap. You know, Fetty Wap apparently broke some records. Like, he has, like, 4 songs in the top 100 or something crazy like that. So I'll quote something. It says, Fetty Wap's record breaking. Only 8 other, I think, songs have been posted. 4 concurrent top 10s. But none have done so with their 4 charting tracks. Number 2 is Trap Queen. Number 3 is My Way. And I think number 4 is 679. You know, so I don't really, you know, like, I don't know what you think about that. I'm like okay with it, you know.
Well,
whatever.
I think that this speaks to the changes of the modern music age, because in order for the charts to stay relevant, they had to incorporate streaming into the numbers and into the, you know, the certifications like gold and platinum, because now, like, when you get enough streams to equal the cost of like an album sale, something like $7 worth of streams, that counts towards as the sale of an album, which is helping out a lot of acts like J. Cole, who, you know, was able to go platinum due to, in large part, to his large streaming numbers, right? You have Drake having all of his songs on his most recent project, If You're Reading This It's Too Late, charting because of the strong online streaming numbers that he was getting. So I think that what we're seeing here is because Fetty Wap had so much momentum and there's so little to like challenge him. When he dropped the full album and the album was available for stream at one moment, what we were able to see is all of the singles which he had pushed before basically pushed to the top of the charts at the same time. Whereas in the past, you had to literally, you know, release singles one at a time. So your first single would come out, and as it was fading off the charts, you put out the second single and waited for it to fade, and you put out the third. So usually, unless you're like Michael Jackson or something, by the time your later singles were gonna come onto the charts or attempt to get onto the charts, because you don't know if it's gonna actually make it onto there, right? You're already losing the steam of your previous singles. So I think it's more indicative of the new era and new metrics of music than
and also the new
Fetty Wap.
accessibility of music as well.
Yeah.
Versus back then. Okay.
Yeah,
so like my just a quick thing I want to add. I agree with everything you said. It you know, that's why we talked about it, and I really wanted you to put it on, because I more look at this as like something, you know, putting out views for people to really hear something very different. Because when we go on, you hear a lot of stuff where it's just like generic. When people talk about hip hop too, you know, it's just really like a bland, you know, stereotypical, you know, talk all the time. So I don't think anybody really explains why, you know, stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. My thing to add on to that is also why Fetty Wap even topped out like that. And I really think that's to other forces other than Fetty being great or anything like that. Some people debate whether they, you know, Fetty's great. I think it's because right now Fetty Wap is so melodic, and Fetty Wap like better than Young Thug. He's like what everybody liked about Young Thug, but just better.
Yeah.
And Fetty Wap is interesting. He has one eye, and I think it's like kind of when 50 Cent got shot. You know, it's like that mystique about like, oh, there's something different, and that gave him an extra buzz, and it made him like unique. And it's just the timing of it too, because when 50 Cent came out, we were looking at like people were soft, the industry, the game got whack. You know, like it wasn't real gangsters no more like that. All of that, like it was dying out. And then he came back and resurged, and everybody that had these stereotypical ideas of what that should be and how it should be like that gangster rap, that kind of thing, rode with it, and women loved it, you know. And with Fetty, I think it's not the exact same, but I think some principles are carrying over in the fact that people are like in that fact that it's the sound is melodious, the timing of it is people want music that just they could just tune out to. They don't really need to think too much. It's just like, you know, like it just goes out. It's good, you know, because it should be commercially acceptable. And he really appeals to the women with these songs. And he's interesting compared to the other rappers that all look alike because his disability actually sets him apart. And I think that all those things came together. And as he started getting momentum, people were like, oh, who's Fetty Wap? And they were sharing it, you know, check that dude out and this and that. And I think it just blew out. That's my thing on it. But I have two more things that of note, you know, just to mention with you really quick, and we could go into anything else you want. And it's how much do you it's about the game's documentary too. And do you think it's out right now, came out on the 9th, but it's a 2-part album. It's a 2-part album, and the other part's coming out the 16th. And what do you feel about the game's album? Do you think that the documentary too is going to be good? And tell me what you think about that.
I have not heard the first part of the documentary, but from what I know, the producer list on the album is really, really top quality producers. And it seems like he's really, really trying to give his best effort because he invoked the name of his best album. So I think that that alone is gonna put enough pressure on Game to make him try maximally hard because he has released a string of projects leading up to the documentary too that don't seem like they're his best possible effort.
Yes, I actually agree with everything you're saying. I do think that the documentary to actually has a bar behind it. I think the producers behind it are really dope. I think that the documentary two is going to be really good. I'm excited the fact that documentary two is a two-part album. I think that we need more stuff like that. That's creative. There's 35 tracks apparently on it, so that's really good for people. I think that's really dope that he's doing that. He's giving people what they really want, and people want more music. And you know, I personally am happy that we're getting so much from Game. And it's value. People might go, "Yo, that's way more songs than necessary," but he's giving us value. And I think that the game, this fact that documentary was his best-selling album. And I don't think he's. I agree with you. I don't think he's made anything close since then. I think he's really been, kind of cruising and make. It's not. It's known. I like the game. I'm a game. I'm not a fan. I don't like the word fan, but I like listening to the game. Follow the game, and I don't think he's been working as hard. So we all agree with that. Um, people diss the game. I think that it's not the 2000s and the 90s anymore, so things are not going to go that way. Kind of going what you talked about, the new format, but it's a little bit more grander. It's so numbers, you have to adjust nominally for numbers. Like inflation, money value goes down. You can't look at a millionaire, in the 90s or in the 80s or in the 50s or in the 20s the same way you look at a millionaire today, right? It's just, you shouldn't. There's something called inflation. There's other forces at work. Well, there's similar things apparently with music, and the value of the music is going down. One, to the inflation of songs. Two, to the fact that there's to the economy, right? Less people could buy, all that kind of stuff like that. So you have to adjust for sales numbers, to the new standard now, And I still think the game is doing similar numbers when you adjust. I just don't think he's trying as hard, like you said. So you look at Jesus Piece and it sold, I think, 281,000. So, it's what it is. I'm still a little bit concerned about the song, like the album, because I feel like people are going to look at the fact that it's, they're going to be emotionally attached to the documentary, and then they're going to just judge the documentary too and not properly adjust for it. Maybe the documentary too could be better technically and sound. Maybe it could have a better execution, method. Yeah. But people might just feel, man, the documentary was the best because there was times they were going through when they listened to the documentary, they were going to school, or it's the first time they heard the game, or I don't know, whatever it is. I find that with older established albums, people usually have emotions tied into that time, and they're not adjusting it objectively. Like when people say like Eazy-E's the best, or NWA was this, or they go like, I like this, I like 50 here, and Get Rich or Die Trying, but I don't like this new 50 stuff. And it's like they have an emotional feeling about it, not an objective feeling about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to interject something really quick about that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like having an emotional feeling, it really does become hard to compare. But I guess the real worry that everyone should have is pretty much every part two for a music album has just not been good. Like Food and Liquor Part 2, The Blueprint Part 2, Marshall Mathers LP 2, like it it's like making a sequel to a movie that was never intended to have a sequel. Like it's better for albums that were intended to be part of something larger, but being like just making a part two, it can go bad.
Yeah, it can go bad. I think
bad.
it's an inherent bias that the people have, and I think it ties back to emotions. A lot of times when you hear people talking about it, they're making emotional arguments, not rational arguments. And so they're talking about it, and they're, like what you're saying, it's like many times people always talk like most movies, like all movies that are twos are bad. There's a lot of great movies that are better the second time around. You know, and so there's a lot, and people also need to look at the fact that maybe the first one was novel, the second one was not, but they're not looking at it objectively. So when you're looking at like the a lot of these second albums, they have a bar that they're trying to meet, unlike other albums. So we go, oh, they're not trying hard, this was whack, or blah blah blah. They're not trying to give me my sound back or whatever. Yeah, you got it, and then you complain about it. So don't be surprised when you don't get it again. People buy albums like Wu-Tang and all these older acts, and they're like, man, I wish there was more music like this. Yeah, there is music like that. You just then start complaining because you're emotionally stuck on something.
Yeah.
Like, with Wu-Tang made another album, people are going to be critical of it because they're like, they're looking at this time and period that they felt at that moment. It's kind of like when people watch Spider-Man, they thought it was a great movie, and then they watch it later, and that those emotions and those moments are kind of gone now, and they watch it from a different emotional spectrum, and they're like, oh, this movie's not as great as I thought. It's like Transformers. I saw Transformers, and I thought this movie was awful. Transformers changed the way I rate stuff. I rated on story, and I rated on entertainment. On entertainment, Transformers maxed out. It's like a 9, it's like, almost maxed out. But on story, it's awful. It's some of the worst stuff. But I like Transformers. I'm a Transformers fan. I can honestly say I'm a fan of Transformers. I don't like that word, but I'm a fan. And that's how I look at stuff. When people look at it, they're talking about all this emotional stuff, and they're not looking at the actual substantive argument of is it better. And I think that the fact that Game is trying to set a bar that he's trying means more to me than how people felt at the time. And I know most people are going to feel like that, but I mean, when you say the Blueprint 2 is whack, or people make the argument like it wasn't good, it's like, really now? Because we could compare that album to like a lot of other albums and it was better. You could compare that album to the Blueprint. It's like, yeah, you could feel a certain way. It's argumentative because there's albums that I feel are better, but people don't get the same feeling from it, so they don't like it. And that's just, how I feel about it. I think like a lot of artists pretty much are doing just number 2 albums. They just don't name it that. So you have artists that might just do another work sequel and just name it something different because they know people have this built-in bias towards hearing the number 2 in music or whatever. And then, they just call it something else. But it's the same. If you're talking about the same thing every fucking song, I mean, what's the difference, bro? That's my question to you before, I roll into something else. I mean, what's the difference?
Well, I think that by trying to call it part 2, you're really like, I think that there's an inherent like especially if of something that's a classic album, you're like yeah, I'm invoking you're invoking the name, like it's potentially harmful to the legacy of the album.
I agree with you. We talked about that. I mean? Yeah, I talked about some other cats.
So that has to be
that's the thing in movies, yeah,
taken into account too.
That we talked about that.
When it's a safer play to just name it something else.
Not really. I don't think so, because you have to look at marketing and sales and what the metrics you try to get to, and also the studios and the people involved. Sometimes you can't get the names and the producers and the cachet, to work with you or to work as the same way that you would want them to, unless you're doing it for a bigger, project, right? For a bigger brand. Do you kind of see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Sometimes they just kind of phone it in, right? It's like when actors know that they're doing like a Grammy win, or some kind of big movie, they kind of give their A game, if it's important. Sometimes they're on a movie that they don't think is going to do well, they kind of phone it in. And it's the same other way with producers and artists too. They kind of come in and just phone in for that check. But when they're a part of a brand, they don't want to be the guy. People have a higher bar, and they're like, yeah, this cannot just one of those songs that could just, kind of do that at. So you have to look at it. A lot of people don't look at it from these perspectives. So also look at legacy. Yes, I remember talking about that, bringing up that point. It does hurt the legacy of the thing. We remember I brought in Die Hard, and it's like when the time they got the Die Hard 6, I mean, it really affected the legacy of Die Hard 1. If you just literally had Die Hard, I mean, where Die Hard's gone now, it's like going into like Die Hard 6 now or something like that. I don't know where it is. It's like Terminator. Terminator was just better. Like, Terminator at this point is like, see, Terminator's an idea when they got better, but
yeah,
if you just had Terminator and just stopped, it would be better now. No, even if you just stopped at Terminator, it would be better than like what we had with Genesis. It's just like, just, you never should have had a sequel because it literally spawned. Terminator 2 was marred because it spawned the third movie, the fourth movie, and the fifth movie. And there's more movies. So it's marred, and that can harm the legacy when you spam that shit. You know what I mean? And you're doing bad quality because you're just hamming it out, for checks. But I think when you're doing it to reach a bar, I think it's good. And I think like the legacy of it can be held as long as the audience is engaged and brought into a reasonable place. And I think that many times the flaw is in the marketing is that they're purely trying to invoke the pure feelings of the old. Yeah. And that's where the flaw comes in. So I don't know. I want to hear how much you think the documentary 2 is going to sell. Keeping in mind that it's 2 albums now. It's been split.
I really don't know enough about this to like give a well-informed number.
So you want me to go first then, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Alright, so basically, like I said, if you look at the game, and you look at a lot of artists in the game right now, like 50, T.I. and stuff like that, a lot of the established brands, I talked about this in my series called In Music Thoughts, not Talks, is Beef Really Good? And the mini-series is on the game. And if you look at Game's last 2 albums before this one, was The Red and Jesus Piece, and they sold into 200 units, right? 204 or something like that, and then 281,000 units, for Jesus Piece. And when you took the medium of that, by the mean, by dividing 2, adding them up and dividing 2, it was 241 or something like that, 1,000 units sold, right? So that's his average, right? Coming into the new era of music, right? Because it was like 2013-ish or 2000, when he started it. And then the other one, 2012, 2013, you know what I mean? Like those kind of times, you know what I mean, when he started doing this stuff. And then Jesus Piece was supposed to come out, I mean, the documentary was supposed to be before, but it got pushed back, so he would have had that out sooner. So the thing is, so we look at him as 241. If you look at T.I.'s last album was in the 200s. Game, 50 was in the 200s. A lot of rappers have been in the 200 ranges, That's kind of like the new norm. So even you look at what Future and Drake just did, it was in the 300s. You see my point? It's not, when you take the average of 50s, I think he's in the 300s. The last 2 albums, you take the average of the last 2 albums in the new era for T.I., it's like he's in like the 400s, So that's the mean that he should reach, on these albums, if we put out a project today, looking at the last one. So Game doing 241 units is pretty good. So you look at what he did with Red, Red wasn't really like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not bad. When I say, I'm not saying it's whack. I'll just tell you if it's whack to me.
Yeah.
But when I say, it's because I don't think he was going to the level he could have, gone to. Like, Game is consistent, but I mean, Game's a really good rapper, and he's just not trying. Exemplimented by the fact that he spit the same verse, like, for years. So, I mean, he just doesn't try. He's lazy, so, at times. So, I think when he put out a more serious work in Jesus Piece, the numbers went up. And I think that when you're talking about a brand, a legacy brand like this, is going to go to numbers up. So I think he's going to do anywhere from 300 to 350, as a normal amount, jumping up. If it does 400 units, I'm going to be. It's not out of my expectations. I believe it could do 400 units,
Mm-hmm.
but that's going to be a milestone. It's going to be like, wow, it's performed better than expected. If that was a stock or anything I was buying into, once I got to 400, I'm cashing out. I'm like, yo, we literally went way above, my estimates until I start selling stocks. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it, and I think it can do it, but I think that it has to be good. I think that the album has to be great. It cannot be like, lukewarm or like his other stuff. It just has to be a good album where people are listening to it and word of mouth is going to carry it through. Like, yo, Game came back, and that's going to do it. And he has to be going out doing the work like he did when he did the documentary. Like, during the documentary, he kept doing work even after the album release. Remember, he was hanging out with 50 Interscope. Yeah. He had like that old engine behind him, and they were pushing him to go on TV shows, go on stations, be on whatever he could be to market his stuff. Yeah. And, hanging out with other industry dudes. I think he needs to do that for the documentary, and that's how I think it's going to get to 400.
Do those numbers reflect the fact that double albums count as selling 2 albums?
No. It could, but I mean... if it does that, then it's doubling up. Like, I think it will do 350,000. If it does 400, then I'm projecting. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's really 800. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So you think that he'll make 800,000?
Yeah, but it has to be very good.
Okay.
Like the combination of it being very good and people like talking about it, and he's doing work like. Going out there and talking about, yo, the album just passed this milestone, check it out. He has to market it properly, be there with other celebrities, be doing collab albums with other people, exchanging frequently with people, like when he did with Young Thug. The beefing didn't help him with Young Thug, because Young Thug's like not on the Game's level at all. Nobody really knows about Young Thug, a little dirt like that. Who cares? They really got known because of beefing with bigger guys like Game and Lil Wayne. So if he's just transacting with Lil Wayne and other guys, he's going to bring, his sales up. So by bringing up his awareness, so people need to be aware of the project more. People need to back in their face. This project is out. Check it out. You are missing out, and that's what he needs to do to get it there. I think Game could really do it. Like, it's gonna be a big. If Game does that 800, he's back. I mean, he's never left, but he's gonna be like, yo, Game is on top. And he needs. I think Game needs it. I just think Game is a really, really good rapper. I just think Game is one of the rappers that is just incredibly lazy.
Yeah.
It's not like he's trying to put a best project. He's just hamming it in. And the mainstay I really want to talk about as well was my main dude. That I would try to pick a rapper every month or every week. My favorite rapper of the week or the month, and this was my favorite rapper so far. Probably going to be my favorite rapper of the month, man. But he's definitely my favorite rapper of the week. And we talked about him at length, man. And it's Eastside Crackhead from New York. And I want to just, I don't know what your thoughts are initially on him. What do you think about Eastside? Do you like him so far? We're just going to go into that. That's probably our last one.
Eastside Crackhead, from what I can see, he seems like a likable dude, man. I can't really hate on the guy. The upsides to him is I could envision him bringing to the table something similar to what Old Dirty Bastard brought to the table.
Yeah.
And since there's no more Old Dirty Bastard,
eat that lane up.
he could be living in that lane. But with the downside is I haven't heard anything, on wax, like a actual recorded track. So I don't really know where he's gonna go, but I mean, I'm interested. I'll listen to something if I see, he comes out with something.
Well, I mean, look, I really like. He has a lot of upsides, but I'm gonna start with the upsides with Eastside Crackhead, man. Oh my. Look, Eastside Crackhead has a lot going for him, right? In his story, he's going clean. Everybody wants to that story. And man, Eastside Crackhead's going clean. Let's help him out, whatever, right? He's a very straightforward guy. You can see in his interview in Vlad TV that I sent you to check out Eastside Crackhead. so people could see him. I sent it to people so they could see him, check him out, send him ciphers from him, you know, like on other sources that I've seen him from phone cameras, everything. I think he's really an amazing rapper. I'm not saying he's good, you know. I think he's amazing. You know, he brings back that old school style, you know, like actual passion, you know, like skills. It's like yeah. Like man, I don't say dude's is flame. You know what I mean? That dude's flame. Like I like the fact that he has some standards and morals, man. You know, like you hear him and he has some morals and standards, man. It's just like you don't really get this, and you know, like you could get that he has some regret, man, for some of the things he's done. You know, kind of let himself go away, and you know, like he actually kind of apologizes when he messes up because he does some messing up and he apologizes. And like, you know, it's wrong. But that's just big, you know. But that's kind of a problem as well. So some of the problems I have with Eastside Crackhead, really quick, are Eastside Crackhead's actually a crackhead. Like, that's twisted. People are like, nah, man, he's been clean. He's only been clean for 7 months. 7 months.
It's long for a crackhead.
Yeah, but the problem is like I mean, I respect the strength, the willpower that he has, but the problem is that he doesn't have any money like that. So it's like once he's around, the industry is the wrong place for him because you're literally in the entertainment industry, lots of drugs, lots of coke, you know, lots of stuff. And if you watch the Vlad TV, Eastside Cracker kept it real with it. You know, he kept it 100, and he said to us he got on crack when he hated crackhead because he liked the broad. Well, there's gonna be lots of bad broads in the entertainment industry doing coke, like doing all kind of stuff. Then he said he had 9 women, and 3 were crackheads, 10 or 9 or something, and 3 were crackheads. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Okay, and he's already having 9 women. He has no money. Like, really? And then it's like his ego that he did that even got in a problem with DMX. This is gonna be bad. He's like, I can see him going to Kanye West territory with this. And this is bad when you start bringing all of these dynamics in. These are really serious problems for him creatively, musically. I don't think it's a good place for somebody recovering. And then the fact that his management handles all his team, which I think is a smart thing, but I don't really trust them because we don't see the management on screen. You see my point? We can't put a face to these guys that they rip Eastside Crackhead off, you know? We don't know what they're doing. You know, they're putting in work for him right now, but they could be putting up work to level up and just eat, you know, clear him out. So I want to see them come on Crackhead and let us, you know, I mean, I want to see them come on camera and let us know, yo, we got Eastside. We're keeping him off the crack, you know what I mean? We were trying our best to do good by Eastside, you know? So we can put faces to this so, like, you can see and people be like, yo, in the city, like, that guy's grimy, you know? In the industry, we could tell when we see these dudes, like, doing, you know what I mean? Moving and stuff, we could see them and know. So I really, like, see the Eastside Crackhead thing, and I that's my question before I would even donate to Eastside Crackhead, like, you know, even if I had like cash, you know, if I had it like that, I wouldn't because I'm, you know, these are some concerns that I have, you know what I mean? And I just really don't think it's the place where I think he's remarkably clear, you know, I think he's good, but I mean, dog, he was a crackhead for 7 months. He's only been clean. He hasn't made any money. What is he going to do when he starts making lots of money and he's being tempted and the pressures in the industry start coming out and the pressures in life? He already has a big ego, so he's gonna come funny style to somebody. You know, he's gonna get in the heat. People, he's gonna start losing all of his support and friends. You know, how's he like? There's a lot of pressures that come with stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't know his mettle, but I already know he felt the crack because of over a broad that only was interested in crack while she was, you know, topsing him. You know what I mean? She was literally lacing crack joints while she was topsing him. So it's like. Do you see the valid stuff I have for him? Those are major problems. I got some more, but I mean, I don't know what you think about that, what I just said. I think those are major problems for Eastside Crackhead, man. I think these are like heavy problems that like I just think could derail careers for people that are not crackheads.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I agree that those seem to be, you know, minor to major problems.
So, so like the thing is with Eastside Crackhead is that I think that you know, like I think a problem with him is that with his ego too, just to make it relevant, is that he's only been rapping for 7 months, and a lot of people that have been in the rap game have been working for a long time. They've worked for years, to get on their craft. 7 years, they put in multiple, albums and works to kind of get to that level. And Eastside Crackhead is like, I put in like 7 months of work. I should be a top trender. I went viral. I'm on the same level as Meek. I'm on the same level as Drake. I'm on the same level all of you guys. And like that's kind of like, it's not pragmatic, and he doesn't understand how it works. And I also, with being on crack, I think he could get disenchanted really easily, because I don't know many people that start making money, like loads of money in 7 months, being in music. So I just don't know this. So these expectations are really wild. And the thing that really was like whoa to me was the fact that he went at DMX, and he was like barking at DMX because DMX didn't know who he was. He's like, you're in the city, you should know, unless you don't have a cell phone. Remember, he said all this stuff, and it was like DMX didn't know him. A lot of people don't know he's like crackhead, but his ego was just so high, and he was so proud that he put DMX in his place, apparently, for barking at getting at DMX or yelling at him or cursing him out. And those things were really red flags for me. And I like the biggest thing that I really want to go into, and is the fact that I don't really see Eastside Crackhead also making money. And it's going back to what you said about ODB, and we talked about this. I don't see him making money. And the reason why I don't see Eastside Crackhead making money is very simple. When the ODB and these guys were making music, the music industry had men. It was the economic situation was very different. The economic situation is very depressed now. It's very depressed. And back in the 80s, 90s, men had more money. For whatever means, they had more money. In the 2000s, men started getting that money because of the bubble economy, right? From the housing bubbles and everything. Women have more money as time goes on than men. From the 2000s easily on, women were always buying, but we had more stronger men because they made gangster rap and all that stuff. But women started to buy more and more and more, right? As male persons per hour, and music changed to attract the market of women. And Eastside Crack is not a very handsome man. And, there's nothing really to Eastside Crack that I could see just appealing to women. And this is really the death of conscious music. It's because there's no males buying this stuff anymore, money. That's why it's underground, because the market, or alternative, because the market of males that could purchase this music, that are interested in it, are small. There's a lot of men that like it, but they don't have money. And Eastside Crackhead then is appealing to a lot of other broke dudes, right?
Yeah.
I'm not dissing broke dudes, man. I put my hands up, And so he's dissing broke dudes. And, he's appealing to broker dudes. And, women get a lot of money from the government. Let's not get this wrong. Feminism literally is about women getting money from the government. Okay, women have gotten lots of money from the government, so they're able to purchase way more than they could, than they normally would, and so the market and everything around represents a more female orientation, and so I don't see how I could see him maybe getting sympathy sales and women messing with him initially, but I don't see how this works long term.
Yeah.
So that's my problem with Eastside Crackhead, and I really don't know where he's gonna go, but I think that if he does break through, and because his music is really deep and conscious, if he can break through, I think it's going to be on a smaller scale in the alternative or the underground rap scene, where if he markets himself right, he can make money. And I don't think it's going to be the money that he thinks it is, and that comes all the way back 180 to the ego. You see my point? And I don't know. All of these things are so negative that I think he's going to really fall off and fail, because it's hard for me to see him because of that problem with the ego. And when he's seeing it like, yo, I'm not making the money that I think I am. I'm not hanging out with Jay-Z, because he said he's a Jay-Z rap, He has delusions, and I don't see the market for him to become a Jay-Z. So that's really like all my thoughts on Eastside Crackhead. Again, he's my favorite artist of the week. I'm really wishing the best for him. People can change, he can work on his ego and become better. It's really hard to change yourself as a person. It's really a lot of work. But I'm really happy that he's off crack. I hope he stays off crack. I hope he stays in the music game because Eastside Crackhead is one of the best rappers, just pure talent wise, I've heard in a long time. And a lot of the dudes in the industry in New York are kind of messy, that they entertain him, and they wouldn't entertain him if he was literally whack, because he is a bum,
Yeah.
But he's just that dope. And if you don't know Eastside Crackhead, please check him out. I'll try to put a link below. He's really good. But I just think there's all these problems to overcome, and that's pretty much it for me, man. If you have any closing thoughts on Eastside Crackhead, let me know.
Nah, man, I think you covered everything that needed to be said. I think you expressed everything about Eastside Crackhead. I wish the best for him, but man.
All right, so that's it for Music Talks. And if you have any things you want to talk about really quick, notifying them as we wrap up with what you're going to be doing or anything like that.
Anything that I'm going to be doing? Nah, man, just the normal character talks and music reviews that are going to be on You Author Us. And yeah, that didn't have anything prepared.
All right. So we're gonna be what we're gonna try to do. I'm gonna try and get at absolute zero about it, and maybe you might see me. I've really recessed on doing the work that I need to be doing, so I'm trying to up the production, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, really trying to keep everything going. So it's kind of impacted how I write and put out these stories. But you might see us at poetry spots. You should definitely see Ab. He's trying to get out there and do that. We have a new format where we put up the new schedules. You author us quick updates. It's the updates as before, but the updates will have links so that you can click on them and check out, what's new. You could always scroll like before, but you could check that out. There's a lot of new notifications and stuff. We're trying to get into the new phase of the next logs coming out for his blog. Should be active, but things happened or whatever, and we haven't been on it, but he needs to get back on it. And you'll see me back again, RJ, maybe editing it out. My series, the RJ blogs, the RJ series that's going to come out, where I'm just talking about a lot of behind the scenes stuff and me meeting and linking with people and kind of putting it to you guys so you guys could know this. We really want to get another Kill Your Favorite Rapper campaign up for crowdsourcing. The last time it was very new, so a lot of mistakes were being made, and hopefully we can do a better job this time and get it to you, and put it up so you guys could help us out. And we really thank all the people that helped us out, even though it was not a good job was not done, but the strength of the brand of what we worked on with Absolute Zero here did garner us some recognition, and it was amazing. I was shocked when I found that out. So I'll be more active on it this time so that it's better. And once again, we're starting the Kill Your Favorite Rapper story campaign. So we could, if you guys want to help us out with that, so we can also get these EPs to you and do the best, so we can add some more bonus material and bonus tracks. These are things that we really want to do, and we'll literally have some more stuff coming up. You'll hear some more, any new quick updates, and on some of the other stuff coming out for Music Thoughts. So check it out, and thank you for being with us today. And we enjoyed, and we hope that we can continue improving and making better podcasts and audio logs for you. Thanks.